hello, hello. And then it's Wednesday again. We were waiting so bravely for this upcoming Wednesday to go to our question and answers. And Caldini is here. See? He didn't run away. That's a good point.
Well, after I just saw Elsa's message saying it's going to be a Pinga Fogo, I'm thinking about leaving then.
Yeah. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. For you are watching us for the first time today, and for some reason you missed last Wednesday explanations from Alexandre Caldini. I strongly invite you to go to our YouTube page, Buzz YouTube page, Spiritist Society of Ireland YouTube page, LMS Spiritist French in YouTube page, and watch it. Caldini just gave us an explanation about what's come after. You know, what's the next? What's the reason why I live my life in vain? I will die for nothing. What happens after I die? What's the process? How it works? So all these topics he point out to us brilliantly, and today he will go to Q&A session. And for this, before we go there, let me give the words to my friends here, because I'm sharing my screen now with a lot of people here. So Caldini, you are the visitor here. Caldini, it's a writer, Spiritist writer. He wrote 2 books, and also he's a Spiritist speaker, and voluntarily, yeah, he is here today. See, I was very kind with the words.
Very.
Yeah. Good, Caldini. Good evening, my friend.
Good evening. Very good to be with you, Stevan, with Silvia, Elsa, Charles. Great to be here again. Thank you for receiving me today. It's an honor to be with you, and a bit scary as well to have a Q&A in English, but let's try to move on. Spiritism is such a fantastic philosophy. I'm very happy to be with you today. Try to help somehow to understand what happens after the body dies. We don't. So thank you very much. Muito obrigado. Boa noite. Prazer estar com todos.
Great, great. Okay, let's go to... Since we start with the boys, let's go to France. Mr. Kempf, how are you, my friend?
Très bien, merci, Stevan. Very well, thank you, Stevan. Bonjour, bonsoir à tous. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous ce soir sur cette question fondamentale du spiritisme, quoi. L'amour, qu'est-ce qui se passe après la mort? Est-ce que l'esprit existe? Est-ce qu'il survit après la mort ou pas? On touche vraiment à ces questions de fond, la question qui fâche, la question qui bloque encore cette transition dans le monde, avec beaucoup de gens qui disent que tout ça, c'est de l'inconnaissable, ça n'a pas de réalité ontologique et j'en passe. Alors que nous, bon, ben, après avoir vu les phénomènes, on s'est rendu à l'évidence et on dit, ben oui, ça existe. Okay, so thank you again to be here. It's really a critical key point that we are touching now. Do we have a soul? Is this soul surviving after the death? What happens? Some people are criticizing that this does not have an ontologic reality. This is uncognoscible. This is this, that. And we are here quietly, absolutely convinced, like the earth is round and not flat. So we are deeply convinced that the soul exists and that it survives after death. So we are really touching the how to say this, the point which will trigger this change and from this dogmatic materialist paradigm to the spiritualist paradigm. So very happy to be here today to share this very, very important subject.
Okay, so good evening to these ladies, English ladies here. Ms. Gibbons, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and I hope everyone is well too. And like everyone said, it's always a pleasure, an honor, and really interesting to be here with you, and I hope that today will be as interesting as well. Send my love to everyone, and let's hope it's going to be a very productive and enlightening session. Thank you.
Mr. Rossi?
Boa noite, boa tarde, bom dia, queridos amigos internautas. Estou falando em português, porque troquei muitas mensagens com amigos ontem sobre o programa de hoje. Eles disseram, Elsa, mas é um pinga-fogo. Eu falei, você tem razão, é um pinga-fogo. Então, sejam todos bem-vindos ao pinga-fogo de hoje, com as perguntas e respostas que o nosso Caldini vai trazer para nós. Muito esclarecimento. Preparem mais perguntas se desejarem, porque tem bastante da semana passada. E é uma alegria estar aqui com o Charles, meu irmão do coração, minha irmã do coração, meu filho do coração e meu amigo do coração, Alexandre. Então, a gente vai formando família de famílias e esses elos são maravilhosos. Agora, como é que eu vou falar tudo isso em inglês? Eu vou dizer o seguinte. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It is always a great pleasure to be in a circle of light with friends that deliver their talks, their hearts, their love towards Spiritism, spreading the world for everyone, for each one that needs to know more about death. And the questions and answers tonight will clarify so many points that sometimes is in darkness in our mind, in the shadows of our hearts, and we can talk about it, as Alexandre did last week, beautifully. The most important talk about death that I have ever listened in English was Alexandre last week. So I invite you all to share the links with your friends, to call everyone to participate tonight. That will be a wonderful Pinga Fogo. Thank you.
Okay, with no more waiting, let's put our video. We have to put a video. Let's put a video here. Let me share my screen. And there we go.
For us who lose someone through death is to send our love. And the way we send our love, for many of us, is to pray. I often like the idea of thinking of that person who has departed as like someone who traveled far from you. So let's pretend your child upon, let's say graduating from high school and before going to college, your child, maybe 18, 19, has a possibility of a great adventure, going far, far away, maybe back in Europe in a train. And you still have a relationship with your child. You can call your child, right? You can send an email or text. You can stay connected even though you're not physically close to him or her. And you actually want your child to have a great experience. So the best way to really cultivate that relationship with those of us that have family members and dear friends who have deceased, have departed, is to think that you're actually writing a letter, write an email, sending a text, talking on the phone. That person will receive your vibrations of love, your thoughts, your ideas, and your love as well. So it's a great way to understand that that relationship continues on.
Okay, once again, thank you to our friends from Spiritist Academy for these wonderful videos they produce. Such rich material we have in English. helping us every Wednesday with our topics here. Without any delay, let's start.
May I make a comment on that?
Sure.
Yeah, I love this video. When Elsa sent me, I said, wow, this is right on the point. So spectacular, I would say. And I would like to thank as well the people from iSpirit, our friends who produced it. What this lady says, for me, is the essence of how we can relate to the deceased ones, the ones we love that have passed away. It's such a fantastic coincidence, but I don't know if you know, maybe I mentioned last week, I'm not sure. My son is living in London. He's living in the UK. He's lived in France for a while, now he's living in the UK, the only son we have, the only child we have. And I feel exactly that way. It's just like, quote unquote, if he had passed away. He's far away from us. But still, thanks to technology today, we can communicate very easily as we're doing now. So I think it's not exactly the same, but the person who has passed away, if we do, as the lady mentioned, is if we try to communicate with him or her through our mind or our thinking, we can send plenty of love to these people. We can be connected to this person without holding that spirit with us. I want my mom to be here with me, together with me, all the time with me. That's no good. But we can have this relationship, just as she mentioned. I think that's a superb video. We should think about it.
Well done, Spiritist Academy. Thank you very much. Well, so I think my proposition is we should start where we stopped last Wednesday. And last Wednesday, we had a couple of questions which we didn't have time to ask to Caldini. And I will start doing that questions, okay? Let's say they are first in the queue. And Leah, our friend from Sweden, she wrote, what is the right way to dispose our bodies? Cremation? Wrapped in mushroom spores? Does it matter?
Mm-hmm. Very, very good question. Very polemic as well. And I remember, I think Charles mentioned last week, probably was after we finished the conversation, just between all of us. There's something I never thought, which is the pollution of one body when the body becomes something else, right? Apart from that, there is also a little polemic here. My understanding is very clear. My understanding is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you bury your body, if you incinerate it, if you, whatever, if you, like the people from India, if you leave it on the river, like some people also on the East, if they leave the body for the animals to eat, to feed those animals, it doesn't matter, because it's just a matter there. You are not there. You're not your body. You're a spirit, and the spirit should have gone away from the body once the body doesn't holds any more vitality. Having said that, once I made a video about that, I received many people agreeing with me, and some people disagreeing with me, spirits disagreeing very politely. And one of the gentlemen sent me a video from a guy called Geraldinho, probably you know him, which he probably was very close to Chico Xavier. And in this video, this person says the following, that Chico Xavier was taken once with Emmanuel to meet a lady that had passed away. And this lady was, how do you say, it's not incinerated. How do you say in English?
Cremated.
Cremated, right. And they did not advise us to be cremated. Why? Because we might feel the body being burned. I understand that, but I don't fully agree with that. Why? Because it doesn't matter. If you're too attached to your body, it doesn't matter if you're cremated or if you're buried, it doesn't make a difference. If you're too attached to it, if you're not yet, if you haven't progressed yet to leave the matter, you might feel as well. And I do believe that also includes another question, which for me is even more complicated and serious, which is, should I donate my organs or not? My understanding is yes, we should. Why? Because we all know that the Spiritism says outside of charity, there's no salvation, right? And isn't it charity to donate your lungs, your heart, whatever, your brains for research, your bones, your kidneys, everything, so someone else can use it, something you're not going to use any longer. So my feeling, my view, and I would like to hear you guys as well, is that there's no problem at all to donate your body. As a matter of fact, we should even donate blood while we're alive, if we're allowed to. If you don't have any restraints, we should donate our blood and hemácias, etc. But also, I don't see any problem donating any parts of your body once you pass away. I don't see any problem donating on being buried or cremated. I think it's a personal decision. My only call there would be, if anyone in your family have decided to donate some of the organs, please do respect it. It's very common that people decide to donate its organs, and once the person passes away, the family said, no, I don't think so. I don't feel like donating. Sorry. It's not the family decision. If this person has decided to do so, we should respect that decision.
Great. Thank you, Claudine. Also, I want to say hello to our friends who are watching us. Maria Eugenia from Germany, Lea from Sweden, Beatriz Gilles, Lily Maya, Ruben from Uruguay. Also, Vera Lúcia Caldini. Sounds familiar, this name, Caldini?
Very much so. My sister, and she was the original spiritist in the family.
Okay, good. Good. And Miss Gibbons, she has a question for you now.
Yes, I have a burning question, actually. From what you said last week, it was a very interesting talk. It was very good, very informative. I really liked it very much. But you said a thing that I have a point to make, actually. Last week you said, I'm going to say something polemic. And you said, I don't accept that, believe you used the word, that astral cities like nosso lar exist or the umbral exist. And that's a point of contention I have with you, because if nosso lar, we understand by the writings of Chico and André Luiz, that is actually a spiritual city on top of Rio de Janeiro, and was founded by the Portuguese in the 16th century when they came to Brazil. And also, you said that there are different words for heaven and hell, and that umbral would be hell and nosso lar would be heaven. And also, by the teachings, nosso lar is very far from heaven, absolutely far from heaven. It's a place where spirits that are a little more advanced will go, but it's surrounded by the umbral. And there is, I suppose, in a way, there isn't a kind of a place like underneath the earth or above. It's a place. But we, by the teachings of André Luiz, we learned that the umbral surrounds the earth, is fed by the thoughts of humanity, and is a very real place, because it's the place where our mind will take us if we have committed crimes, if we have done things that were very against humanity. Because when you say, I don't believe it, that it exists, you put down half of the work of Chico Xavier and the collection of the spirit in the spiritual world, because the umbral and those places are the spiritual world. Of Chico Xavier, work of Divaldo Franco, Filomeno de Miranda, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, André Luiz, Emmanuel. So part almost, because for me, you know, in my opinion, it's not really very, very relevant, but I believe that the work of Chico Xavier in the works of André Luiz is a continuation of the basic books of the Spiritism of Kardec. I really truly believe, because at the time when Kardec was writing, many things could not be said. And you see in the medium's book, when he talks about obsession, he doesn't actually talk about possession. Only in one of the magazines later on that Kardec talks about. I think to dismiss it is to dismiss quite a lot of very, very important things. And, you know, people like Dr. Marlene Nobre dedicated a life of studying it. And she wrote a book about nosso lar and about the spiritual city. So how do you see this? Because I find it a little bit difficult to understand your point of view there.
Very good, Silvia. Excellent point. I thank you for that. And it is really polemic. That's why I said. Né? And I thought a lot about that. Should I say that or not? Should I position myself in that direction or not? And finally, I decided to do so. As you said, well, this is my opinion, Silvia. I said, I have to say the same. This is my opinion, Alex. Right? Why do I say that, Silvia? I personally prefer, by far, the French original Spiritism, which is not the Brazilian Spiritism. Do I respect Chico Xavier? A lot, plenty. I see plenty of value on Chico as a person, as a spiritist, as a spirit itself. I had the chance to meet Mrs. Marlene Nobre, fantastic person. Having said that, many of what is written by the Brazilian authors, I don't fully agree with it. I think there's plenty. My personal belief, again, it's my opinion, right? I think at the beginning of the 20th century, there was, even in Kardec time, there was some pressure. Spiritism was not accepted, was something that had to do with dead people, perhaps the devil. So I believe even Kardec had to introduce a little bit of the religion, mainly Catholic religion, into Spiritism, but very, very little he did. But in Brazil, since the beginning of the 20th century, much perhaps by the hands of Bezerra de Menezes, plenty of religiosity was introduced into Spiritism. So Spiritism became much less of a philosophy, my opinion again, much less of philosophy and a science, and much more of a religion. I personally don't believe, as I said last week, that Spiritism is a religion. And I put that very clearly on all my speeches, because it's written in the Okay Spiritismo, What's Spiritism from Kardec. And also, if you notice, if you go to the tomb of Kardec at Père Lachaise in France, in Paris, you're going to see there's written the founder of the Spiritist philosophy, not the Spiritist religion. Why am I saying all this? Because I believe, and many people here in Brazil, I believe elsewhere as well, they say, oh, but even Kardec said, not everything was said. More things would come as time passes. I do believe in that. But also take very much precaution on that affirmation, because if we allow everything to come into Spiritism, I've seen Spiritist centers in Brazil that have Feng Shui, that have plenty of pictures of.
But then they are not Spiritists.
Then
they are not Spiritist centers.
I know.
They are not Spiritist centers.
I know. I agree with you, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we have to have a lot of care what to accept as Spiritism. In my opinion, when I say I don't believe in Nosso Lar, I don't believe in Umbral, I goes from this part. We are spirits. We're not people. We're not the body. So spirits do not need soup. Spirits do not need to have a pet. Spirits do not have to have a house. They do not need to have a salary and to buy a house and to leave the house for their grandchildren that are going to come. That, for me, it's very difficult to understand. I might accept that as something that very low educated spirits still need to feel that they are living as they have lived while they were on earth. In that sense, maybe. But I find very difficult to accept and unimportant to focus all our studying in Nosso Lar, the relationships, all the bureaucracy we see there, which is very much like the bureaucracy from Earth, right? Having said that, also, if you go on Kardecpedia, which I love, it's I'm sure you know, it's fantastic. You put anything there and shows if this concept is or not within Kardec books. If you put umbral there, it does appear few places where they said umbral. In the strict sense of the word, meaning a portal that you pass through, not in a place where you go and you suffer a lot. There's rape and there's all kinds of dirty and mud. It's dark and people suffer a lot. When I say this is a new name for hell, of course it's not hell, but we have adapted, in my view at least, we have adapted umbral as a hell, a place where you're going to suffer if you don't do well. And also a place like heaven. If you do well, you're going to be on Nosso Lar. I see many people here, Silvia, spiritists that study Spiritism say, oh, what should I do to go to Nosso Lar? I really want to go to Nosso Lar. I think that's wrong. We should not aim to go to a place. And as you said, I don't believe it's a place above Rio de Janeiro. It's everything. It's not material. So every time we materialized the Spiritist philosophy, I think we're going to go in a wrong way. I prefer much more going, what I think is the beauty of Spiritism is, do take care of yourself. You're responsible for yourself. You should improve yourself in moral. You should improve yourself intellectually. That's for me the essence. And I try to focus my speeches and my studies and my books in that. And my view, again, is that once every time we go into something more materialized, more like heaven and hell, we're moving away from the important thing, which is develop yourself as a spirit. That was my point there.
Yes, I agree with you in many of the points. In a sense that many people supposed to be spiritists don't study, don't learn. You know, they go to talks, especially now with this, you know, what's happening. People go to talks and instead of reading the books and studying them. I don't do that. I see very little talks. I prefer to read the books and get to my own conclusion. There is, yes, because people see the umbral as a place that, you know, it's hell, because we somehow transfer to Spiritism what we learned in the church, in the Catholic Church, and that's not Spiritism. People who have Feng Shui, whatever things, they are not Spiritists. They think they are. I think one thing that Raul Teixeira said is Spiritism is not for everyone, it's for those who can bear it. Because Spiritism doesn't say you go to hell. Spiritism doesn't say you cannot do this. It doesn't forbid you to do anything. It just says to you, you can do whatever you want, provided you can bear it, you know, and suffer the consequence of what you do. And I think Spiritism is a very advanced thing. Is a way of life that people eventually will come to. But I do have a point to contend with you, I'm sorry, in relation to the André Luiz books, because to me, they are such a source of learning. And he doesn't say, oh, you're going to go there. Actually, one of the things he says in Ossular is that when we die, we face the mirror of our conscience. We know that God doesn't, there is no one sending you to hell. There is not a place like that. It's your own mind that will keep you wherever you are in the same level. It's all vibration, you know. And I think this most maybe spiritists don't understand that, and they transfer it to hell because it's easy for them to understand, because it's a different concept. But there are those places of suffering, because people will go there because that's their point, you know, where they are, what they've done.
It's not a place. It's their mind. It's not a place.
It's not a place. It's a way of behaving. Just one more point.
Because we do have a more. Let's do this. We can invite Claudine for another.
No, I just want to make just one point more.
Yes,
I think the thing about religion, yes, they say Spiritism is not a religion, but we are Christians and we follow the teachings of Jesus. So to say you dismiss it completely, there is no religion, it's only a philosophy, is to dismiss the third book of which is the Gospel according to Spiritism, that we studied the teachings of Jesus. It's not a religion as such that we pray.
Why do we have to say it's a religion to study Christ? No, Christ is a fantastic example. That's not a religion. You can study Christ. As a matter of fact, Christianism starts afterwards. I mean, the religion starts much after Christ. You can study Christ, you can follow Christ as other leaders who are fantastic without being a religion, can we?
Yes, but, you know, I understand the thing is not a religion as such, but we do follow the teachings of Jesus. We do accept that he is the emissary of God on earth. And I think also to dismiss everything, because, you know, there are so many research now, scientific researches done by Dr. Alexandre Moreira, Dr. Décio Iandoli, based on the books of André Luiz, in the science that he put in those books, that only now we're beginning to discover. Even the pineal gland, that at the time that he wrote was completely almost unknown, the study of that pineal gland. And now they're doing it. So I don't think we can dismiss the books of Chico Xavier just lightly. I think there is a hell of weight there that we still haven't been able to prove yet. You know, our science is still far behind. So I just want to make a point. I'm not, you don't understand this as a criticism or anything, but no, I diverge with you in the way maybe you express points.
It's good that we don't have to agree on everything. My point again is that I prefer by far to study Kardec. I think there's so much to study there, so much to learn that I don't have quote unquote time to study other things that I don't. Well, personally, I prefer to study Kardec.
Okay, talking about Kardec, let's say if Mr. Kempf have a question.
Okay, you got me by surprise, Stevan. Didn't you want first to take the two other questions which were remaining from last?
Well, one question from Guilherme: do you believe in astral cities? I think already discussed here.
Yes.
The second one is from Beatriz. If there isn't an umbral where the spirit of a serial killer, for example, does go after life.
Okay, so let's make the link with Kardec quickly. Sorry, Alexander, I will give you the word just after. You go to the second part of Heaven and Hell and read it. There you get the information. And there is a killer, spirit of a killer, which is communicating and telling what happened with him afterwards. He does not talk clearly about the law or whatsoever, you know. And the other, of course, Kardec wrote also about the possibility, some houses of Mozart in Jupiter or what things like that, which can be a kind of an solar, if we want to make the parallel, you know. But I think the key of the study of this is what happened after death is second part of Heaven and Hell. And you have how much? 30 or 40 communications of different level of spirits, and there you can see what is happening with them. And
Charles, I have seen, of course, I've read Heaven and Hell, and again, I appreciate it a lot, and I see that obviously there's different levels of spirits. I'm not saying everyone is the same level. I'm not saying after you die, fine, if you're a serial killer, it was a question, and you're, I don't know, someone that helps a lot of people, going to be on the same level. Of course, not the same level, as it's not, as we are incarnated as well. Take two incarnated people, brother and sister, perhaps. One has a very nice life, the other one has a very difficult life. Why? Because God is not fair? No, because this one has already developed more morally, intellectually. So he or she understands better life and reacts better to all the challenges. This one, not yet. Maybe it's a younger spirit. So he does a lot of silly things and suffers much more. Same happens after we pass away. After we leave the body, nothing changes. We're still developed or underdeveloped spirits or in different levels. So I'm not saying that everything is okay after you pass away. What I'm saying is I don't believe in a place where you have soup, where you use weapons to put the bad spirits away from you. I think there's plenty of fantasy there. When you see Heaven and Hell, clearly you see the suffering of spirits that suffer morally, not physically. That's my point. I don't understand all these, I would say in English, apetrechos, all these things that are around there.
All these apparatus.
Apparatus, yes. I don't think we need that. I think we should go to the essence, which is you receive as you have given, as Silvia said. Everything we do has a reaction to that. You're going to suffer morally, intellectually with that. If you're living Jupiter or somewhere else, I mean, I showed that on my presentation last week. It's such a huge universe. It doesn't matter where you are, but physically to see it, that's my point. I mean, I don't think we should care about, oh, I want to go to heaven, that we call no solar. Oh, I don't want to go to hell. People are very afraid of going to umbral. It's wild. Why should we worry so much? Let's worry about doing good, on developing ourselves. That's the key thing Spiritism should talk about. Not this fantasy, my opinion, fantasy, funny places where you should go. For me, that's irrelevant. That's the only point.
Okay.
Silence in the room.
Yeah. Elsa, do you have any question?
We should come. Sorry, Stevan, should go back to that one that you have made as well before. I was talking to Charles from last week.
No, you already replied, because if there isn't an umbral where the spirit of a serial killer, for example, does go afterlife, you already explained.
Just try to respond a little bit more. For me, it's not where he or she will go, because it's not go. It's, again, as Silvia properly said, it's inside of us. It's our mind. So this person already does not have a very good life while incarnated, because the mind is blowing. Heaven and hell are inside of our minds, and will be the same afterwards. So my point is, let's not try to put in places, in drawers, right? But let's understand that we do receive as we have done.
I have a question that probably once a month I receive this question when I do my fraternal assistance. Can I do, how can one help the loved ones that have passed away? Is a common question when you lost someone or someone departed. How you can help if you don't know the situation or the level or spiritual level of your beloved one? But love is above all.
Yeah, that's a very complex response, Elsa, because from my experience as well, having written the book, many people write similar questions that one they have put. First, they want to know, the very common one is, I do want to know if my loved one is suffering. That's the main question. Everyone wants to know. And I think that's a difficult question, because why do you want to know? What are you going to do if you understand that he or she is not doing well, is suffering? There's not much you can do. I mean, you can pray, and I think we should pray, but we should, now get to your question, I think we should think how we should pray. Because if I start praying just like, Pai Nosso no céu, or, oh God, please help my father, help my mother, maybe better than that, I personally believe better than that, is to try to send. I think just like the video we saw at the beginning of this conversation, to send our love to this person, to send our good feelings to that person, to remember him or her, how lovely it was to live with him or her, the good moments we had together, the fantastic intelligence that person was, what we have learned from that person. This is an homage we give to this person. So we should try not to bother, at least. If I'm here crying, if I'm here saying, oh, God is unfair, if I'm saying it was not the proper time to take my son away, to take my wife away, it's understandable. But that if this person can feel that thinking, certainly it's not going to be something that's going to make him or her serene. It's going to disturb this person. So we should at first try not to disturb that person. How we do that? Not asking anything. Do not ask your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your grandma to come and help you in this situation. If you want to ask someone, ask God. If you want to ask someone, ask Jesus. If you want to ask someone, ask your friendly spirits who are around you to help you in many ways. But don't ask a relative. And if you want to send something, send your love. Last year, Elsa, I wrote an article, maybe I mentioned last week, I'm not sure, on Mother's Day in Brazil, and about my mom. And I said the title of the article, on purpose, was, I don't miss my mom at all. Then I start saying, please understand me well, I love my mother a lot, but I don't miss her. She has passed away, and I still love her as much. Why don't I miss her? Because I have everything I need from my mom with me. I have her values, I have her love, I have her example, I have the way she sees earth. She sees beauty everywhere, in the birds, in the trees, everywhere. So I have everything that I need from my mom with me. She left everything she could with me. And I don't want to have her by my side all the time. That would be to have her as a slave with me. No, I free her to move away, to progress herself. But I still have her very close to me all the time without having her by my side. I think that's the best way we should go on these situations. We should keep loving that person. But love is different than attachment. Love is different than passion. Passion, I want the person for me, with me, all the time. That's attachment. Love is, I want whatever is best for that person that I love so much. That's the difference between the two, I would say.
Great. Now we go to a question from Guilherme Diaz. He is saying here, what is the impact of organs donation while incarnated to our perispirit? As we understand, it is a connect cell to cell?
Very tough question, very good question, Guilherme. I never thought about it, but from this question, I would say the following. I think it's all in our minds, the way we see life, the way we try to live our lives, how attached we are to things. And Spiritism says clearly we should try not to be attached to anything, because we're going to leave everything here. Your question is why we are incarnated. Say, suppose you donate a kidney to your brother, right? What's the impact of that to the perispirit? I'm not a specialist. I'm not a doctor or anything. I would say the impact is very minimal, if any, depending on the donator. If a person who donates, say, a kidney to a brother, in my understanding is a person who is already far away from being too materialized, too attached to things. This is a very good example of charity, right? So I think the impact will be zero. Maybe there's a quote-unquote physical impact, but that's nothing compared to the pleasure, the honor, the beauty, the happiness of doing something good, something that was good for him and for the person who donated. So I would not worry about it. If that's the situation, I would go for it without any hesitance. Having said that, we have even to go further on this thinking. Say it's really bad, has a huge impact on the perispirit. Say the person passes away. So what? So what? We're spirits. We're going to be living forever. We have eternity with us. Nothing matters much. Everything, there's a recap. There is a future for everything. And if we want to go further in the polemics, that's for another conversation down there. What if that's a total different subject, right? If the person commits suicide or abortion or euthanasia, how do we see that? Spiritism says that's very tough. And I do understand. And none of the three are recommended at all. At all. They're not solution for anything. Having said that, charity again. All of us, all spirits have a future. So if we do something silly like that, it's not forever. We can recover from that. We have God helping us, and we will move forever as spirits. So there's recovery for everything. I think we should not worry too much about anything. We should do what's right. We should do what's proper. As Silvia said, we should study to understand things. But there's future for us in every single situation.
Great.
May I just complement this one, Stevan? If you do it, if you donate your organ, your kidney, as Alison told, with love, basically you will disconnect somehow your perispirit from that kidney, and even through your vibrations, because when it is then implanted into your brother, for instance, his perispirit needs to take control of the kidney. So link again, molecule by molecule or cell to cell, to this kidney in order to have it operating properly into the new body. So if this, I'm sure, a key factor for the success of such operations is you do it with love, because then I can tell also I have spent most of my life regularly going and giving blood. So blood is of course not an organ, but again, you are giving something from you. And when I was at the surgery in 2015, when I got hemorrhage during the surgery, I received 3 pockets of blood. So thank you to the people who donated this blood for me, because it saved my life. Otherwise, I would not be here anymore, you see. So all this has to be taken into account. And even to go back while incarnated, okay, because when you donate an organ when you are dying, the science, medicine, the doctors, they need to keep somehow your body artificially alive in order to extract this organ, whether it's a heart or whatever, in a status and in a condition that it is possible to implant it in another one. So this is also making a huge concern among spiritists, yes, but if they keep me artificially alive, my spirit will be kept linked to the body. But I can tell you, even so, fully conscious of this, I signed the paper, it's clearly written everywhere that even so I donate my organs, because I may suffer a little bit. When you give your kidney to your brother, you are suffering a little bit, but it is for good. So you do it out of goodwill, and that's it, because you do it out of love. And even when you are incarnated, maybe you need a fallback solution, a backup kidney. If you have problem on the other kidney, what do? But if you are already dying and artificially kept alive, as a spirit seeing these things already with a little bit of distance, there is no question, on my opinion. Love,
but also, don't you think that if a person is already donating their organs, it means that they already giving it, so they are not going to be attached to it. I have my national health paper that if I die, not only my organs but whole body is donated. So I think you already said, well, I'm dead anyway, so get on. And some people will be able to see, some people will be able to have a normal life, just go. But I think if the person wants to know, there are many studies that talk about this. There was a doctor in America. He himself he was a transplant doctor, and then he had a heart attack himself, and he wrote quite a lot on that. And there are many studies about people who have had transplants, and how some people actually become writers, which is very interesting. One person could hardly read and write, and he started writing. So there good things as well coming out. There are many studies that can be read and seen about this.
Charles, as you, I have been donating blood forever. I'm what they call in Brazil, irmão de sangue, once you have donated more than 50 or so. And all the time when I go there, I get so happy because I see very young people and very simple, very poor people donating blood. And not just blood. Actually, I donate, how do you say that? Hemácias in English. I don't know how to say in English. Or plaquetas, if so. Plaquetas more than hemácias.
Plasma, I think
yeah, red cells, and yeah, it's something that takes about 2 hours. You're there with your thing for 2 hours, and I see very young people doing, very simple people doing, for anyone, for people that they have never met, would never meet, as you said, and it's beautiful to see that. Many more people are doing so, and I feel very happy to see that.
Yeah. So Guilherme keeps saying he put another question regarding the same topic. The physical cell that was one connected to one perispirit can be reconnected to another perispirit.
Sure, it is demonstrated. Transplantations are working well. I have a friend who has his both kidneys were out of operation. He got a transplanted kidney and he lived again. Several years, more than 10 years already. So yes, it works.
Yeah, and also I think when it doesn't, there is a rejection of the organ. It happens as well, that the organs are rejected. So maybe when there is something like that, is a rejection. The organ is rejected, the body will not have it.
But there is a lot of cases are success. So it's a demonstration. People, yes, it works. Another perispirit can take over the control of kidney donated by somebody else, or not only kidney, everything else.
It's interesting. We're on this subject, but just one example. I remember a friend of mine, a guy who worked with me long ago. His mother-in-law was really rich, very rich, and he told me she needed, I think it was a kidney or a pancreas. I think it was a kidney, and there was a queue. There was a line for transplantation. She bribed the doctor, believe it or not, a very well-known doctor in São Paulo, and she passed on top of the list, and she received this organ. It was rejected. Then she had to bribe it again, receive a second organ, and was rejected again, and she passed away. She died. Maybe this is what you're saying. It was not out of love, it was out of money, it was a lot of greed. I don't know if this has a connection, but maybe it does, because it was not something natural. There was not a willing to do good. It was just money.
Great. And Karina, now I have my question.
Go on, Stevan.
My question. I have 2 young daughters.
I saw their pictures on your profile. Beautiful.
Yes, yes. How to talk about death with them? Because I don't want you to say, "Oh, Granny now is a star." No.
Yeah.
Let's try to become more real and prepare them when I'm gonna die. Or even though she died, they die before me.
It might happen. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I think your question goes both ways, to very young people and yeah, to very young people more than that, and to people who are dying as well. We're very afraid of talking about death, which is silly. We should talk more and more about death, not just necessarily in spiritism, everywhere, because it happens. And as you said, sometimes it's the opposite, the other way around, right? The younger one dies before the older one. Sometimes the healthy one dies before the one who has some illness. So concerning children, I think we always should do, Steven, in my opinion at least, we should be sincere to our conversation. We should not say, as you just perfectly mentioned, "Oh, daddy will become a star," etc. Because the child gets that literally. So think, "Oh, so maybe that's grandma, maybe that's grandpa." Should we do that? I don't think so. I think being honest and telling the truth, but obviously accordingly to the vocabulary, it's to the understanding of the child. If you talk to a 2-year-old or 4-year-old, you're talking one way. If you talk to an 8-year-old or a 14-year-old, you're talking a different way. But I think we should start from the beginning, from very early age, say 5, 6 or so, saying about things pass away. "Oh, look at the banana. The banana is not good to eat anymore because there's no more life in this banana. There's no more vital energy," or something. How to say, it varies. Or you see, say, a dog that was hit by a car, or a bird that has passed away, or even a fish on the fishery, on the market. We might use those examples to explain that things die. Everything dies. The plant dies, the vase dies, the flower dies. And we are going to die as well. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Dad is going to die. Mom is going to die. Grandpa's going to die. You're going to die. And there's no problem with that. When is that going to happen? No one knows. It might take ages. You should not worry about that. But it's important that we know that, etc. So I think with a lot of care, choosing the proper words, and in a very calm moment, because if you don't do so, when it happens, and will happen, will be much more difficult. Say the grandma or the grandpa has passed away. If the child is not prepared, then you have to start with stars and things like that, right? So I think, again, being as sincere as possible, as clear as possible, choosing properly the vocabulary you use, and with a lot of love around it. I would go in that way. I would not go very deep in saying, "Well, then the spirit's going to be like this, and the perispirit and reincarnation." If the child's not used to that yet, I would not move that far. If the person is already used to the vocabulary of spiritism, because he or she participate on Evangelho no Lar, how to say that in English, the gospel
at home.
Gospel at home, then the child might be able to understand a step further, but I would go accordingly. The other thing I have heard from psychologists, friends of mine, concerning other subjects with children, they said, don't say too much, just respond the questions the child has. I think that's important as well. Move as the child demands.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Let me take a carona on that as well. The other question would be how to speak to someone who is just about to die. Very difficult, right? The third question would be how to speak to someone who has, quote unquote, just lost someone, lost the husband or the wife or the child. Since ever, that's a question. I think Seneca talked a lot about that. So starting with the person who is just about to die. Again, I think sincerity, honesty, speaking properly is the best way to do. Let's not say, oh, you're going to be fine, forget it. The person knows he or she is going to die soon because everyone dies. So if you say so, the person politely will say, yeah, but he or she knows it. Of course, you're not going to come and say, well, you're going to die tomorrow, so you should do this, do that, you should talk to your brother, etc. But starting a conversation, again, ornated by love, by care, by concern, that's the best way to do. Right? That's just fair. If you can do that beforehand, even better. Second thing is, I've seen that a lot, Sometimes people hold the one who is just about to die. How do you hold it? Oh, please don't go. My life without you will be horrible. You should not leave us, etc. The person feels like he or she cannot go. We should do the opposite. I did that to my aunt, to my mom, and to my uncle. I talked to them when they were not just really badly in terms of health. And I said, if you want to go now, fine. We're going to be fine. Don't worry about anything. Of course, we're going to miss you. We love you. But it's your decision. If you think it's time to go, please do go. Do not worry about us. And they depart in a few minutes or so. And my mom was very interesting because I said that at 3 o'clock in the morning at the hospital. I spent the last night with her, and she was really bad. And I said, if you want to go now, Mom, please do. If you want to wait until my brother comes, because he was working, he would come only the next day at 5 p.m. in the interior of São Paulo state. And wait for him as you decide. 5 o'clock, my brother arrived. 5:04, she passed away. So she probably was waiting until the last of her child arrived. So it's as simple as that, as beautiful as that. But we should always try to do it in a proper way, in a very lovely way, very showing that we care.
Thank you. Thank you. And with that, we have just 2 minutes left. We will finish on time. I want to say thank you, Caldini, for your time. Thank you for all your attention, all your kindness, knowledge. Thank you. I want to leave the open doors for you to come back again. As soon as you have another topic, let us know, and let's spread the word. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having me here, Stephen, Silvia, Charles, and thank you very much, Elsa, for the invitation. Silvia, especially to you now. I'm sorry if I hurted your feelings, if we think differently in a certain way, but I'm just trying to be honest with showing a view. It might be totally wrong. I might be, and I say that very honestly, I might be completely wrong. And I see you and Charles have a different view, and that's fine. I'm just trying to put a point for us to think, because I do believe we don't have to accept everything.
No, please, I understand. I did say, please don't take this as a criticism. It's just that through my studies, because I do study a lot and I read everything, I study Sufism, I study Kabbalah, I study everything. And I find that some of the books of André Luiz, all of them really, they're such a source of knowledge for us. I mean, and there are so many researches now, academic papers being written in things that were in the book that when they were written, people didn't know much about. Only now science is catching up. So I don't think we can dismiss everything, because Chico Xavier, I think he represented spiritism in the highest. I don't think there has been one single human being that has represented spiritism in the level that he has. And his 800 books, I mean, I don't have time to read all of them. So I find it a bit different. But, please, I respect your opinion. Everyone has their opinion, and that's it. We see things in a different way, but we're not enemies. Mm-hmm. I hope not, anyway.
Not at all, not at all. No. Okay, let me stress again. I do respect a lot Chico Xavier, a lot, plenty. I just have some differences with some of the books I've read from him and some other authors, Brazilian authors. That's it. But thank you very much, Stevan. Thank you, Elsa. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Silvia. Thank you all. I just see Maria Eugênia, Bruce from Portland. I've lived in Oregon for a while. But it was nice to have you here. Nice to have you all, Beatriz, Guilherme. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Good. Thank you. Let me go to our final announcements. Put it here. So next week, spirituality and the young. And with that, our friend from Spain, Rodrigo Ortega, he's going to join us for this talk. So don't miss next Wednesday, 9 p.m. London time, 10 p.m. Spain time, France, Central Europe. We'll be here with this interesting topic. Okay. So also, no, this is already gone.
Already, yes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this week we will have, next week we will have our time to talk with Guilherme Dias and Rafael Caldas, 8:30 p.m. every other Tuesday. A wonderful conversation on mediumship. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened here, but I may have it. So don't miss, in April 2022, the first World Spiritist Month. A lot of countries already said yes, they'll be part of this month, talking about Spiritism. So many brothers, many different countries, many different views, but one goal, which is the Spiritism.
Stevan, the poster of Charles, that means his talk is on the internet, YouTube already, Bas Audiovisuals.
Okay. Okay, because I saw the date on the 27th of November. Yeah.
The last Saturday, the talk is on YouTube, Bas Audiovisuals.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And we do have our friends from Kardec Group. They do have their donation program for 2 institutions in Brazil, Group Espírita Sheila and Instituto Multirão. If you want to know more, go to kardec.org.uk/high5. And also they produce their podcast, Insightfully Speaking, and you can listen the podcasts in all the available platforms you have in internet. And that's the poster we have in Buzz Audiovisuals is already there. So it was a wonderful talk from our friend Charles. I think I missed one here. We will have this the following Saturday, not this Saturday, the following Saturday, round table with all speakers from Leon Denis. As you know, we celebrate the year of Leon Denis, and every month one of our friends gave a talk about Leon Denis or his books or what his findings about him. And the following Saturday, 11th of December, we will have all of them in a room closing this homage to our friend Leon Denis. And that's it. I want to say thank you, everyone. Caldini, once more, thank you very much for availability. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you.
Au revoir, France. See you later, UK.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao, Brasil.
Tchau, até mais.
Ciao.
See you next week.
Até a próxima.
See you. God bless. Bye.